I met the man personally. I know things only he, my husband, and myself would know while sensing his power. You are not him. You're close, but there is still a wide margin between you two that I can clearly tell the difference," remarked Mito, with the masked man remaining silent for a second before removing his spiral mask and letting it fall to the ground. "You would be wise not to underestimate me," said the fake Madara, with Mito cocking her head slightly to the right. "Just as you would be wise not to underestimate me, Uchiha Obito," remarked Mito, with Obito's eyes widening in shock. "You've never met me. How did you know?" demanded Obito before he turned to look at Shao Kahn. "My father knew. He knew from the start when you first appeared to take the fox from my mother." "The fool used you," remarked Shao Kahn, with Obito frowning. "Impossible. My goal was to use Kushina's pregnancy to rip Kyuubi from her and have it attack the village. He couldn't have possibly used it to his advantage like you claim," said Obito, with Shao Kahn laughing. "And yet, he was alive, in hiding with his wife and second child, while his firstborn rotted in Konoha. You provided him with an excuse to create 2 new Jinchuriki, one to be the village's punching bag, the other being himself, and using it how he saw fit. You gave him an opening, and he took it. I have his memories. I also have Jiraiya of the Sanin's memories, both of which show me you played into their hands. They already planned to put Kurama in one of their children regardless, but you gave them an excuse to do it in a way that would allow the people of Konoha to abuse me, and even altered their plans so my so-called father could obtain power that never his to have in the first place," replied Shao Kahn, with Obito glaring at him with his Sharingan now active. "You killed my past. Now I will claim your future for myself," replied Obito, before the ground beneath him glowed, and he saw a sealing array underneath him and Itachi. "Uzumaki. Clan sealing art. Chakra draining seal." "Don't be so sure of that," commented Shao Kahn, and saw Obito trying to escape using his ability to teleport. But it failed miserably. "What?" said Obito, before falling to his knees and feeling his strength fading, with Itachi doing the same. Unlike the standard version of this seal, which just about any shinobi can use, this is the Uzumaki version of it. In which case, this seal spreads over an area as far as the user wishes, targets everything in the range of the seal, not just the intended target, and drains them dry of all their chakra. It neutralizes bloodlines and their abilities. Inside that seal, you are just a simple, ordinary man with no power, Uchiha Obito," replied Mito, with the Uchiha on the ground, his Sharingan eyes going back to normal, and it was clear he was in agonizing pain. "How did you even know we would be heading this way?" asked Itachi, with Shao Kahn smirking, though the younger Uchiha of the two caught in the sealing array couldn't see it. "Your little plant of a spy named Zetsu should have known better than to spy on me when I have so many sensor-based shinobi around," remarked Shao Kahn, with a knowing look on his face, and Obito stiffened in realization. He took Madara's soul from Zetsu. "He knew where we were going and prepared this in advance," thought Obito, before turning his head to look at Shao Kahn with a heated glare. "Once you two are gone, your puppet leader is next, and once I do that, my eyes will get a nice upgrade," remarked Shao Kahn, with Obito's eyes widening in horror. If Shao Kahn gets the Rinnegan, he would be unstoppable, thought Obito, before finding himself face first on the ground, and it getting difficult to breathe. "You've been busy, Obito. Your chakra levels are most impressive. Normally, this seal drains people of their chakra within a few seconds. But yours, clearly you trained to the point where you would be cage level," remarked Mito, while seeing the man go deathly pale. Itachi was already there and seconds away from dying. "Save Sasuke. He can be saved if you try?" pleaded Itachi, with Shao Kahn snarling angrily at Itachi. "Saved. Your stupid brother doesn't want to be saved. He wants to plunder, kill, rape, and butcher everyone that stands in his way. He's beyond saving," replied Shao Kahn, with Itachi now crying in despair at hearing this, and knew deep down the words spoken were true. It still hurt Itachi knowing he turned his little brother into a monster and was too weak to stop it. With that being said, The slayer of the Uchiha clan died not with a bang, but in silence. Not even a whimper was let out by Itachi, as his chakra, his strength, and his health had all left him. I need to escape. I need to try, thought Obito while trying to focus what strength he had left to his eyes, and form a kamui. Only to find, like Uzumaki Mito first said, the seal had sapped his chakra and disabled his Sharingan like it was designed by the woman. Inwardly cursing all those of Uzumaki clan blood, Obito tried to crawl out of the seal, but found his life was now fading out of existence. With the last seconds of life in him, Obito saw Rin looking at him, smiling, waving, urging him to follow her, and join Team 7 for a day of simple relaxation after so much fighting in the last war. With tears forming in his eyes, Obito embraced his end and headed toward the girl he loved in the hopes that despite everything he had done, a part of him was still worthy of her love and affection for him. That piece of his soul that wasn't tainted by pain and loss could break off before flying to the heavens to be with Rin. When the seal array died down, the two Uzumaki walked toward the bodies, checking them for life, and found none to be found. You could have taken his soul. Why didn't you? Asked Mito with Shao Kahn frowning slightly at the question. I saw my father's memories of him, of Kakashi's memories of him. They both thought of Obito as a waste of space in being a shinobi. They only tolerated him because of his use as a form of cannon fodder, just like me. They knew who he was from the start when making Kurama attack Konoha after ripping the fox out of Kushina during the pregnancy. Who else could match my bastard father, except those close to him, and knew how he would act in a fight. Another way to identify someone when they are masking their true identity is in the way they fight. Namikaze, Minato knew how Obito fought and knew it was him all those years ago. They knew why he was acting this way. They knew he knew what they did in letting his dear childhood crush and teammate die the way she did. They knew it would push him down a dark path, explained Shao Kahn with Mito frowning. I don't understand, said Mito with Shao Kahn looking from Itachi to her. During the Third Shinobi War, Kiri turned Rin into an unstable Jinchuriki, with faulty seals to be used against Konoha, in the hopes the Three Tails would cause a rampage there, much like what Kurama did to Konoha, the night of my birth. However, we both know my father, if not Jiraiya, could have used their own knowledge of sealing to fix it. A simple hirushing back and forth to Konoha would have given them ample time to fix the seals or alter them to make it stable. Even if they failed, they could have had Kushina simply use her chakra chains to contain the Three Tails with ease. They let her die. They chose the easy way out because they knew that Rin was not one of them. Just like Tsunade's false lover Dan. Just like Senju Nowaki. Rin would not get with the program when the time came, and they felt it was in their best interest to use the incident as an excuse to kill her. After all, the Three Tails would simply reform in a few short years. Such information was worth more than the girl's very life in their greedy eyes, remarked Shao Kahn with Mito frowning. So Obito was a pawn with the Akatsuki, and the piece of Madara's soul told you that much? Questioned Mito with Shao Kahn, nodding. I saw as much from the memories of Madara. He made sure Obito was his pawn just as much as he was Konoha's from the shadows. Madara makes Obito his student, his pawn to form the Akatsuki, and Konoha uses Itachi to gather information on it before using what they know to eventually take over when the time is right. I was going to be key in that regard before everything spiraled out of control for Konoha's higher-ups, said Shao Kahn with a small chuckle. What do we do with them now? Asked Mito before seeing Shao Kahn go through hand signs for a fire jutsu. Simple. We burn the bodies. I won't have Konoha finding them and possibly extracting anything of use from the corpses. The Uchiha clan has always been known for using fire jutsus. It's only fitting these two die at the hands of one, answered Shao Kahn before he burned the bodies and watching them turn to ash. All is left if Konan and Uzumaki Nagato, remarked Mito with Shao Kahn nodding. From what I know from Madara's memories, he had the Rinnegan. Something Madara made sure Obito gave Nagato to use, knowing his Uzumaki blood would make it work. Deal with him. You and Tobirama-san will deal with the woman and her origami-like powers, commanded Shao Kahn, with Mito nodding. While you and my husband deal with Nagato, surmised, with Shao Kahn nodding. How is Karen taking her newfound freedom? Asked Shao Kahn, while they decided to head to Iwa to inform the Tsuchikage and its two Jinchuriki of being safe from the pair of Akatsuki members. Good. Sugetsu is the same way. He's itching for a fight, and Zabuza's sword was a nice way to give him incentive to fight Konoha. Jugo is still having problems with his fits of rage, but I think having him channel toward Konoha will help. From what I've seen, his body needs to release it from time to time due to the nature chakra he absorbs into it. The more Jugo holds back, the more his anger and psychotic tendencies become increasingly difficult to hold back, remarked Mito, as she had been using chakra seal limiters to keep the amount of nature chakra Jugo absorbed at bay. But it only went so far, and she didn't know the ramifications of blocking it off in its entirety. Yes, it is a shame Guren was the least cooperative of the group. Though playing on the woman's ambitious nature and serving the winning side helped gain her loyalty, remarked Shao Kahn, since the Shotan bloodline user wanted to be on the winning side of this war, and had stayed with Orochimaru for that reason, since she knew he had been siding with the Leaf. And the Leaf until recently had been slowly winning the war against the allied shinobi forces. Of course, unlike with Konoha and Orochimaru to that extent, Shao Kahn had informed Guren that her loyalty to his side would be rewarded. The former emperor of Outworld had seen enough of the memories and thoughts of his enemies to know that Guren would not be one of those that enjoyed the spoils of war should Konoha win. The woman was going to be used as breeding stock to bring out her bloodline in vast number. They knew how the woman was and wanted to make sure the children they made her produce were totally obedient to their masters, while Guren was kept away from her offspring. All the children would be lied to, saying their mother died in childbirth, or abandoned them, while making sure each child was told the same lies, yet with differences to it. This would be done to ensure they would each think they all had different mothers with the same kind of power, and were eventually brought together under shocking circumstances before making them an official clan, under the supervision of a high-ranking Junin, acting as their godparent. In truth, the assigned individual would be observing the Shotan bloodline, and the progress of the next generation of this newly formed clan. Once Guren found out what Shao Kahn told her by showing the woman the memories of those aiming to achieve such goals, the Shoten user gladly pledged her loyalty to him. Granted, she also did it because his was the winning side, but the incentive of knowing those that planned to do that were either dead or soon would be in the coming battle was a great help. A woman scorned with ambitions made a good ally when you aren't the one to cause the former, and promise something of the latter. The Sandame Tsuchikage is going to have a heart attack when he sees me again after all these years. Onoki was so easy to shock and scare when he was just a simple genin, who would have spontaneous shouts with people during conversations, commented Mito, with a hint of amusement. I hear his back has gotten worse recently. Old age is catching up to him, remarked Shao Kahn, with Mito smirking. He was having back problems long before that. I should know. I gave them to him when he was a young Chunin, remarked Mito, with Shao Kahn smirking and looking amused by her statement. You're right. The old man might have a heart attack after all, commented Shao Kahn before letting out a laugh. Aim underground base. The Akatsuki is destroyed. Pain. We are the only two left, commented Konan, as she learned of the death concerning the other members of the organization. I know. My health is failing me, Konan. I had hoped to bring about peace and end all opposition before the end. Now all hope of that is lost. Konoha has started an all-out war with the other shinobi villages. The Bijou are nearly out of our grasp now, and Shao Kahn is no doubt heading here to end us both, replied Pain, with his real body looking frail from years of abuse. We could ask for mercy. Maybe he will grant it, offered Konan, with Pain shaking his head. I doubt it, Konan. A man like that. We have nothing he wants to that would make him even consider the notion of showing mercy, replied Peen before coughing heavily. Nagato, said Conan worriedly. It's a shame you can't use those eyes of yours to heal your own body, commented Shao Kahn, as he along with Hashirama, Tobirama, and Mito appeared in front of them. Conan instantly went on the defensive and prepared to defend Nagato. Take another step. I dare you, said Conan coldly. Ironic, isn't it, Nagato? Your eyes can do so many things, including saving others from death. But in the end, you couldn't save yourself, added Shao Kahn with Conan's eyes narrowing at him, while Nagato just looked at him with the Rinnegan. You've come to end us, stated Nagato, knowing it was true. Yes, but it looks like time has done half of my job for me, commented Shao Kahn, as he saw how poor Nagato's real body was, and was a bit surprised even someone who is an Uzumaki could endure this state. But not to me, replied Conan with her origami paper moving around her. I believe you two were talking about asking for mercy, questioned Shao Kahn with Conan. Narrowing her eyes further and more paper moved around. We did, but I know we don't have anything you would want to even consider the option of showing us mercy, said Nagato with Shao Kahn, letting out a chuckle. Don't be so sure, my long-lost kinsman, replied Shao Kahn with Nagato narrowing his eyes at him. And what do you want from us? Asked Conan with Shao Kahn looking from Nagato to her, and then back to Nagato again. You know what I want, Nagato. I can tell you already know, replied Shao Kahn while ignoring Conan entirely. The Rinnegan. You want me to surrender my eyes to you, replied Nagato with Shao Kahn nodding. And your soul, added Shao Kahn before he was attacked by a barrage of razor-sharp papers from Conan. You stay away from him, stated Conan while the papers bounced harmlessly off his energy shield. Enough, Conan! Stop, commanded Nagato and saw the woman obey, though with a great death of reluctance on her part. Nagato, questioned Conan while keeping her eyes on Shao Kahn and his 3-cage-level shinobi behind him. Let's hear them out, replied Nagato with a heavy sigh. What? Why? They want to kill you, Nagato. They want to take your soul, protested Conan with Nagato sighing. Had you asked Nagato a few months ago about his beliefs, the man who named himself Pain, and a god for his Rinnegan eyes would have told you he believed the Akatsuki would win. That peace was within his grasp, and all his enemies would submit or die by his hands. Now, however, the man was weary, tired, and just plain dried up inside from the effort it took to run the organization after losing so many of his forces against Shao Kahn. And as it stood, the enemy was standing before them, outnumbered, outclassed, and in a situation where there was no option but to discuss terms of surrender. While that is indeed true, Conan-san, that I would take his soul, he would not be alone in a sense. Countless souls of the Uzumaki clan reside in me, his kinsmen. Our kinsmen, stated Shao Kahn with Nagato and Conan staring at him in shock. Where did you get those souls from? Asked Nagato, since the Uzumaki clan was broken and scattered to the world. From Whirlpool, those that would not cross over, those who were betrayed by the League. They called to me. They screamed for vengeance and justice. I promised it to them. And an Uzumaki always keeps his promises, answered Shao Kahn before walking toward the two, while signaling his subordinates to stay behind. So I would be, with family? Stated Nagato with Shao Kahn nodding. They know of your past, of your pain. Jiraiya's memories provided me much, and the rest I got secondhand from other various sources. For the record, the dead Sanin knew you were an Uzumaki. If it weren't for the fact you were in a war-torn country being so closely watched, he would have taken you to Konoha to be used as a possible Jinchuriki candidate, replied Shao Kahn with Nagato frowning. And what of Yahiko or myself? Asked Conan with Shao Kahn looking at her. Those leaf shinobi that attacked your home, Nagato. They were sent there by Jiraiya to flush out your parents since he knew they were Uzumaki, and take you with him. But the ensuing chaos you had caused messed up his plans and took him longer to find you like he had hoped. hence why he couldn't take you when found near Aim in its war-torn state. By that point, you met Kanan and Yahiko with your shared orphan-like status, forming a bond where neither of you would separate from each other. Jiraiya saw this and tried to secure all three of you by training you in the shinobi way, in the hopes you would be tempted to follow him for more. After 3 years of training with him, you three refused to budge, wanting to help others around Aim. And Jiraiya knew with your eyes he would be pushed into a fight that would draw the attention of Amy's leader to him. Something he didn't want. So he made up some excuse for you to follow the way of peace, and left for Konoha to report his findings to the Sandame, who ordered Shimura Danzo to that region. And observe your overall progress, explained Shao Kahn, with Konan and Nagato narrowing their eyes at Danzo's name. Danzo supported Hanzo in betraying us when we were told we would be welcome into Aim to forge a new era of peace, remarked Konan, with Shao Kahn nodding. I know. From what memories I have of the souls of root shinobi who were there, the man wanted the Rinnegan for himself, allied with Hanzo in order to take it, kill Yahiko, and use you Konan for breeding your origami powers into the next generation of shinobi. But the plan backfired, as you all well know, and his ambitions to take the Hokage seat were denied that day. So he had to resort to being a second-in-command to the Hokage and working his route from the shadows as an Anbu commander. After his failure and omitting some things in his report, the Sandime decided to ignore what was happening in Aim with the Akatsuki, in the belief with one of its main leaders dead, it would soon dissolve, and a potential future threat to Konoha would be no more, replied Shao Kahn with Konan, feeling herself being filled with rage, while Nagato, if I let you have my soul and the Rinnegan, can you promise me Danzo will pay for his actions? That you will avenge not only the Uzumaki clan, but those of the Akatsuki from before it was corrupted, asked Nagato with Shao Kahn nodding. Of course, answered Shao Kahn before walking right by Konan, and stood in front of Nagato's dying body. Nagato, whispered Konan since she didn't want him to die. Don't worry, Konan. I will still be around. I'll just be in another form of sorts, replied Nagato while giving her a gentle smile that made the woman cry. Are you ready? Asked Shao Kahn with Nagato nodding. I've always wanted to meet my kin, said Nagato with Shao Kahn smirking. And now you shall, remarked Shao Kahn before taking the man's soul out of his body and absorbed it into his own before doing the same to the Rinnegan. With the act done, Shao Kahn let go of Nagato slowly and saw the man's body slumped down with its purpose in life coming to an end. What will happen to me? Asked Konan while glancing from Shao Kahn to the others he came in here with. I would think that would be obvious at this point, stated Shao Kahn before turning to face her. I understand. I accept that I am now your prisoner and my life is in your hands. Shao Kahn-sama, said Konan with Shao Kahn frowning. Prisoner? Now why would I imprison my newest subordinate? Asked Shao Kahn with Konan looking surprised by this. You aren't going to imprison me. Why? Asked Konan with Shao Kahn smiling at her before walking over to the woman and putting a large hand on the side of her face. Because you don't deserve it. Out of all of the Akatsuki, I see you joined for the purest of reasons. Love. You fought for your friends and loved ones because they were precious to you? I give you this chance to fight for me for that same reason, and give you a chance to end the tyranny that plagues the world, replied Shao Kahn with Konan looking up into his eyes, seeing the Rinnegan now, and how it shined with a purplish glow, as well as a slightly reddish outline, surrounding the edge of the eyes. Can you bring peace to the world? Asked Konan with Shao Kahn nodding. Konoha is the source of this war. Once it falls, peace will come to the world, if only for a time. But it will happen. Peace is not eternal, Konan. Every so often a war will break out, but it's what we do during our time fighting that determine how big the war will become, and how long it will last. I cannot promise an everlasting peace, but I can promise a time of peace will arise, and you will get a chance to see it, stated Shao Kahn with Konan now crying slightly, since he sounded so much like Nagato to her before he became Pain and Yahiko died. I am yours to command now, Shao Kahn-sama. All of AIM will follow you, replied Conan in a whispered tone, knowing she could easily get the shinobi of Amy to join the shinobi alliance. Make the necessary preparations on your end. I have to make some final ones on mine, commanded Shao Kahn with Conan. Nodding. As you command, Shao Kahn-sama, replied Conan, as her tone became stoic once more when she served Nagato, and she vanished in a swirl of paper. How does it feel to have the Rinnegan? Asked Mito, with Shao Kahn letting out a sigh. It feels like I am finally whole inside, as if it was always meant to be mine, replied Shao Kahn, since the new wave of power was incredible in his mind. Given the nature of the prophecy surrounding you, that it is a distinct possibility, said to Barama, with Shao Kahn smirking at him before becoming completely serious. Inform the others in the Shinobi Alliance of what has happened. Tell them to prepare all forces for battle. We're taking the fight to Konoha, and we're going to run over everyone in Fire Country that stands in our way, commanded Shao Kahn, with Tobirama nodding. Before he was gone, using his own version of the Hiraishin no Jutsu he created years ago. Konoha and all of Fire Country were going to know one final time on why he was called Shao Kahn, the Conqueror of Realms. Snuffed Out Fire, Part 1. The Fire Daimyo watched his city from the balcony high in his castle, where he ruled the entire country from his seat of power. As he watched the outside world before him, the Fire Daimyo felt a sudden feeling of dread wash over his very being, and wondered what it meant for him. Why was this feeling hitting his body now? Was his country about to be attacked? His home? I should have my standard army of samurai put on high alert just to be safe, thought the Fire Daimyo before going to inform one of his captains of the order. Before an explosion violently rocked his castle and shook it down to its very foundation. Shocked by this action, the Fire Daimyo ran back to the balcony to see a massive army of shinobi had breached the outer defense wall of his castle. The source of the breach was a giant dragon made out of what appeared to be a tree. The alarm soon sounded, with the samurai trying to stop the invading shinobi from getting close to their daimyo. Sadly for them, they were being violently pushed back by the invading force led by none other than Shao Kahn himself, repelling samurai left and right, with a few Konoha shinobi trying to help the samurai, but were struck down by Suigetsu and Jugo in a semi-psychotic state. Guren used her bloodline to make crystals shoot out of the ground and pierce the enemy from behind. Crush them! Leave nothing but bloody stains in your wake, commanded Shao Kahn, as he swung his weapon at a samurai, sending his victim into the castle itself. His forces had no problem with that. For years, Fire Country had acted superior to the other countries, flexing their muscles and commanding weaker nations to fall in line with their way of thinking. Those that didn't were invaded, conquered with shinobi before being occupied by samurai under the pretense of keeping the peace once the shinobi left. But they did little in regards to keeping the peace, killing off protesters, instilling fear into those unsure of what to do, and making the lives of the natives a nightmare. Fire Country violated international laws or found loopholes in them, while at the same time condemning everyone else of the same thing. It was pure hypocrisy. But now they had a chance to put an end to it. Put an end to the corrupt country, its leaders, its nobles, and the politicians who had made trouble for them. For the world, Fire Daimyo, the Hawkage, and the country's shinobi had plunging the world into a violent war, claiming that Kami was on their side, and it was just while calling everyone else a non-believer. That the will of fire they preached about would purge everyone unbelieving in their just cause and spare those that did. They had left out the part where they would decide who was worthy and who was not. Not that it mattered anymore. Not when every defense leading to the very capital of Fire Country had been destroyed by all the Jinchuriki, multiple cage-level shinobi, and their immense army of high-level shinobi behind them. As for Shao Kahn, he was finding this moment to be a sense of déjà vu for him in some strange way, as he felt like he had done this before, at one point at a different point in time of his life. And yet, the man didn't know where. Though if he were honest with himself, it didn't matter where this moment brought about this sensation of déjà vu, and just kept on fighting. Not far from him, Hyuga Hinata was covering his right flank with precision gentle fist, strikes to her opponents, sending them flying back a broken and bleeding mess that few could survive when hit. To his left, he saw Anko was unleashing her own fury on the enemy, and it was clear the woman no longer had any loyalty to Konoha, much less Fire Country anymore. Not surprising when you have loyal agents in Konoha, who knew how to get things that seemed untouchable, and 3 such agents managed to get the prize journal of Tsunade herself. In the writings, Shao Kahn showed Anko what Tsunade, and Konoha thought of her even after they cleared her name upon her turning on Uzumaki Naruto when ordered to all those years ago. Mitarashi Anko is so blind it's pathetic. She is so desperate for love that she will side with anyone offering it, even to hurt the brat with her skills in tearing into his flesh when I gave the order. She didn't even hesitate when I explained it to her, and while we failed to kill the monster, we gained Anko's unwavering loyalty in the process. A small second-place trophy, all things considered, but one I'm willing to accept. Ha. Inoichi's psyche evaluation of her was dead on about hurting anyone if it meant acceptance from the general populace. While I intend to live up to my end of the deal made with her, it does not mean she should be kept off such a powerful leash. Orochimaru assures me her curse seal is useless to her, but helpful to us in controlling Anko should she start acting against us. Naturally, we told Anko that the removal of the curse seal was impossible due to it was a malfunctioning prototype, and just have to endure its presence for the rest of her natural life. A perfect lie if there ever was one, as Anko is of no use to Orochimaru in taking her body, since it's too old for him to use should he need one. I've spoken to Iruka about her, and convinced the man to make it seem like he is in fact interested in Anko in order to secure the woman even further within Konoha. Her talents could be used against us in the future if we are not careful after all, and I won't have Anko getting second thoughts about Konoha. Besides, this way everyone wins with Anko's blind loyalty to us being absolute. Iruka gets laid, and Anko herself feels she is loved. Though I and a few others know that is the farthest from the truth. Iruka no more cares for her than I do, and I only care if she can perform the necessary duties her station demands. If she learns that we could have helped her at any time, and did nothing until recently to help secure the woman's loyalty, it would backfire greatly. Though I don't expect the woman to know about this, and if she ever did, I have several trusted Anbu on standby to restrain her, while Inoichi has orders to reprogram the woman for other tasks befitting the woman with her body. If Anko's ability to be a Konoha shinobi ever becomes compromised, I will make sure the many offspring we will make her have do not make the same mistakes. That page alone had been written weeks after the failed execution of Uzumaki Naruto, and secured Anko's loyalty to Shao Kahn. No more fighting him, no more thinking of ways to be free from his seal, no more wishing to go back to Konoha, and to where her loyalty to them had just been one big fat lie the size of a giant expanded Akamichi on steroids. She truly belonged to Shao Kahn now. She belonged to the demonic entity in mind, body, and spirit. Hell, Anko had practically thrown herself at Shao Kahn just yesterday in all her naked glory, pleading to be taken by him in his bed, to be loved, and fucked by the man in order to take the pain away. It was only through his power that she wasn't extremely sore later in the aftermath, and preparing for this battle with the Fire Daimyo's forces. The bed they used had not been so lucky, but it did die in a way many beds, if they had the ability to be remotely sentient, would be proud go out like that, and called heroes to their kin. The bed would have lasted a lot longer if was used by Shao Kahn and the other women in his life. Oh well. The Fire Daimyo is up there. I sense him being surrounded by some of his samurai and Konoha shinobi inside, said Karen, as she used her sensory abilities on the castle to find the Fire Daimyo, and where the most people would be heading at the top of the structure. Hashirama! Tobirama! Bring the Fire Daimyo to me! Commanded Shao Kahn, knowing that once the Fire Daimyo was in his possession, the enemy would surrender, or flee from the castle grounds. Yes, Shao Kahn-sama, Hashirama and Tobirama said at the same time before they sprung into action. First, Hashirama made large hollow tunnels of wood and strike deep within the castle to make it look like a children's fun slide, only for much larger in scale. Next, Tobirama used his mastery of water to make a massive wall of it converge on the castle from the other side, so it would fill the structure with water and literally flush its occupants out of it. Hashirama's multiple wooden tubs on each level of the castle would result in the mass majority of those people in those levels to be shot into the tubes where they would be on the ground level, with 2 former Hokages waiting for their intended target. And sure enough, the fire daimyo came out one of the tubes, soaking wet with clothes drenched from the water. Hashirama and Tobirama scowled at the man in disgust at the sight of him. Both former Hokages knew this man's grandfather, and even father, at a time when the latter was just a child. The former was a strong man in both mind and in body. He was a man who kept himself in shape. The latter was being molded to be just like him when they were alive back during that time. This daimyo, however, it's said to see a daimyo in this state. Doesn't it, brother? Said Tobirama while picking up what literally felt like a 90-pound man soaking wet by his drenched clothing. Agreed, brother. This daimyo's grandfather would be ashamed of him. How this one's father let him get so weak is beyond me, remarked Hashirama, before grabbing the fire daimyo, and the two quickly brought him right to the feet of Shao Kahn. And almost instantly the opposition stopped fighting. Hello, fire daimyo. You know that I know who you are, but I can help but wonder. Do you know just who I am? Questioned Shao Kahn with the fire. Daimyo's forces still on guard against any further attacks, while his own forces stayed their hand for the moment. You are the Kyubi Jinchuriki, Konoha's weapon. Fire Country's weapon, stated the fire daimyo before he was viciously backhanded. Wrong answer. Try again, stated Shao Kahn with the fire daimyo whimpering at how he had been hit. You are Konoha's pet, said the fire daimyo, but his tone was no longer regal sounding and sounded weaker. Shao Kahn's response to take his wrath hammered down on the man's shoulder. Crunch! Ah! Screamed the fire daimyo in pain. Try again, exclaimed Shao Kahn with his patience on this fool-getting thing. You are the daimyo of Wave Country. You are... Shao Kahn, whimpered the fire daimyo with Shao Kahn smirking. Good. As of this very moment, I, Shio Kahn, Conqueror of Realms, hereby declares that Fire Country is dissolved. The land will be divided equally amongst its neighbors, and the nobles, along with any other supporters of this whimpering waste of space, are to be killed on sight. No excuses, stated Shao Kahn with the fire daimyo, glaring at him weakly. Konoha will stop you. They cannot be beaten so easily by the likes of you, whispered the fire daimyo, with Shao Kahn letting out an amused laugh. I take it, Konoha has not shared with you the latest in their long list of defeats and losses. They've suffered by my hands, asked Shao Kahn in amusement. What losses? All you've done is stopped Wave Country from being taken by my forces and destroyed my naval yard, replied the fire daimyo, while gripping his shoulder that was clearly damaged beyond repair. I've killed 2 of their 3 Sannin. The former Yondaime Hokage is also dead. Their spy in the Akatsuki Uchiha Itachi has fallen. Narashikamaru, a prodigy in the way of all things strategy, has been dead for some time. Orochimaru's bases in Rice Country and every other place internationally has been destroyed. With this country's capital now gone, Konoha will be next, and anyone that stands in our way will be run over, stated Shao Kahn, with the fire daimyo sputtering in shock. You can't do this. I forbid it, exclaimed the fire daimyo before he was struck again by the back of Shao Kahn's hand. Fool! You dare say that to me, to all of us. What right do you have to say that? What power could you possibly possess to stop us? challenged Shao Kahn before looking at the army that represented Fire Country and the daimyo lying at his feet in front of him. I am the daimyo of this land. You are on my land. My word is law here, exclaimed the fire daimyo angrily, and his eyes showing it with a mixture of fear in them. Your word is about to be silenced, said Shao Kahn before swinging his wrath hammer down on the fire daimyo's head and making blood spray everywhere. Nice, stated Suigetsu with a grin. Only you would love that, Suigetsu Baka. I swear it's either blood or swords with you, commented Karen with Suigetsu scowling at her. Says the girl with no real chest and hasn't been able to see Shao Kahn-sama's sword like some of the other women in his life, remarked Suigetsu before he was punched in the head, and it turned into water. Asshole, exclaimed Karen while shaking her fist at him. Flat chest, Suigetsu shot back. Sword, lover, said Karen. At least I have a sword. It's not my fault you're afraid to touch one, shot back Suigetsu with Karen's face seething in rage at the innuendo. While this was going on, Shao Kahn decided to address the remaining troops of the now late Fire Daimyo, who were now unsure on how to proceed given their leader was dead. Who here wants to join the late Fire Daimyo? You can run like cowards. You can stay and fight with the end result being death as your reward. Or, you can join us. Choose your destiny, and choose wisely, said Shao Kahn, as the samurai in front of him now looking either at him or each other with uncertainty, and wondering what they should do. Until finally they made a unanimous decision. We pledge our services to you. Shao Kahn-sama, replied one samurai before keeling in front of him, and the others doing the same in perfect unison. You chose wisely, remarked Shao Kahn before letting out a chuckle. Konoha sometime later. He's here. I can feel it, remarked Tsunade from her office in the Hokage Tower, with Danzo, Homura, and Koharu standing several feet behind her. We've lost contact with our outposts outside the village. There is also no word from the capital. We must assume it's been lost. Konoha is the only part of Fire Country still intact right now, stated Koharu, while Tsunade nodded. Now we are all that is left of Fire Country. We are Fire Country now, stated Danzo like it was the most obvious thing in the world and should have been known from the start. Explosions at the village wall were soon seen and heard by Tsunade from her position on all sides of it, with Konoha shinobi rushing to repel the enemy. Time to put an end to this nonsense, said Tsunade before she opened the window and leaped out. Konoha streets. Shao Kahn felt the bloodlust he had felt time and time again rising to its zenith, as he slaughtered every Konoha shinobi in his path. Many among the opposition felt if they could kill him, the rest of his allies would either fall, retreat, or surrender in the hopes of getting some form of mercy. What they didn't count on, even after all this time, was that Shao Kahn was not some weak thing they could beat up like they did Uzumaki Naruto when he was a child. He was not some hyperactive, blonde dumbass constantly shouting out he would be Hokage despite the shit the village put him through. He was not naive. He was not dense, stupid, childish, or anything else that once described the boy Konoha tried to break and kill for well over a decade at the start of the boy's life. No, they were fighting a warrior, a conqueror, former emperor, and now a mother country. They were fighting someone who took down the Dragon King. They were fighting someone who fought the Elder Gods and nearly won. They were fighting Shao Kahn. Fist expansion. Jutsu! Exclaimed Toji before enlarging his fist and throwing it at Shao Kahn, who with one mighty swing of his wrath hammer, sent it away with ease. Try again, exclaimed Shao Kahn, with a laugh soon following. Let's see you try this instead. Shintenshin no Jutsu, said Ino, as she planned to possess his mind and turn him on his own forces. Starting with Hinata. Fool, whispered Shao Kahn before feeling her invade his mind, and smirked evilly mere seconds later. Inside Shao Kahn's mind. Time to do some serious damage, said Ino to herself, while trying to take command of Shao Kahn's body. but found herself unsuccessful, and was soon grabbed by various red-haired individuals now pushing her down to her knees. You were foolish to try that, Ino. For when you entered here to take possession of my body, you challenged not only me, but every soul of the Uzumaki clan within me. Now you will pay the price for your actions, stated Shao Kahn with his wrath hammer in his hand. Like it was outside and Ino struggled to get free. Wait, you don't have to do this, pleaded Ino with Shao Kahn frowning at her. I'm not even within striking range of you, and already you're pleading for your life. The leaf has made my generation grow weak and spineless in my absence, remarked Shao Kahn before he stopped right in front of her and saw the woman crying. Come on, Naruto. I don't hate you. Really. I was just following orders. My parents told me to hate you. So did the rest of village. I had no choice. I had my life to think about. I would have been all alone if I defied the village, replied Ino with Shao Kahn, narrowing his eyes at her. First off, I am Shao Kahn. Do not call me Naruto ever again. You are not worthy to even speak the boy's name. Second, you wouldn't have been alone. Naruto would have stuck by you no matter what. Now you have to pay the price for your decision, replied Shao Kahn before getting ready to strike Ino down. I'm sorry. All right? I'm truly sorry. I'll do anything to make it up to you, pleaded Ino, knowing if she died in here, she would die in the real world. Anything? Huh? Well, I suppose I could always have another loyal concubine to have in my bedchambers, said Shao Kahn, since Ino did have a great body, and it would be a shame to let it go to waste. Before Ino could say anything, Shao Kahn grabbed the front of her head and poured his influence into her mind. He overpowered the woman's thought process, her reasoning, and stripped away any kind of the loyalty Ino might still have for Konoha. He was going to make the woman his property and treat her as such until she was worthy of being more than just a means of warming his bed at night. When he finished, Shao Kahn released Ino's head, and it slumped forward for a second before looking up at him, a semi-glazed look in her eyes. What is your command, Shao Kahn-sama? Asked Ino, and in submissive, obedient tone, while the souls of the Uzumaki clan, holding her down freed, released her. Return to your body and kill any Konoha shinobi that stands against us. You belong to me now, replied Shao Kahn with Ino nodding. Yes, master, said Ino before she left his mind, and missed Shao Kahn smirking before it became a full-blown laugh. Real world. Ino, come on, get up. We need to get out of here before we get overrun. We need to regroup before it's too late, exclaimed Toji as he helped Ino's body up and felt her return to it. Yes, regroup, whispered Ino while secretly drawing a kunai from her holster before slashing Choji right in the neck. Ack! Ino, what? Why? Asked Choji as he gasped. He grabbed his now bleeding neck in shock and saw the change in her. By the orders of Shao Kahn-sama, all Konoha shinobi must die, explained Ino before stabbing her one-time friend right in the skull with the kunai she used to slice into his neck. As for Shao Kahn, he turned his attention to Inuzuka Kiba, who with his dog partner Akamaru tried to attack him 2-on-1. Only for Hinata to appear in between them and use chitin to send the pair flying back into a building. Not even looking back the man she loved, Hinata moved forward, striking one shinobi after the next with deadly gentle fist precision, proving her worth not only to herself, but to Shao Kahn as well. Not that she really needed to after all that had happened since joining his side and unleashing her skills upon Konoha's forces. You've gotten stronger, Hinata-sama. It's a shame the one worthy of being heiress to our clan decided to betray it for him, said Neji with the two staring the other down. I would rather be a traitor to the clan than become a traitor to my heart. Neji, countered Hinata with Neji, scowling at her. We will see how strong your heart is after I make it explode, said Neji before the two did battle. Not if I make yours explode first. Though, that might prove a bit difficult considering how small it is. Like another part of your body, countered Hinata, as she matched him move for move, and saw Neji getting angrier. And how would you know about that? Accused Neji angrily, with Hinata smirking while knocking his hand away and hit him in the chest with a palm thrust. Tenten talked a lot when she got drunk once when I was with her on a kunoichi's night out. More specifically on how you can't perform well and what you lack in size to make her, how should I phrase it? Happy in bed, said Hinata mockingly, as she learned from Shao Kahn that mocking someone where you know it hurts the most can make them angry and make mistakes in battle. As for Neji, he was red with anger, embarrassment, and humiliation on how Tenten had apparently said that to other kunoichi when out one night with them. Even worse, she said it while intoxicated, and people knew that when someone is drunk, they forgo any restraints on expressing themselves. They also tended to speak the truth, or possible their own versions of the truth, based on their opinions on other people from what they've seen. Meaning if a drunk Tenten said he was a poor lover in bed, chances are she meant it, and wouldn't apologize for saying such things should push come to shove when they had their next verbal argument. If they had another verbal argument. As for Shao Kahn, he was fighting off several Junin before stopping when he saw the young version of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Shimura Danzo, and Senju Tsunade. 2 out of 3 were glaring while one just stared emotionlessly at him with a hint of ambition. You have a lot of nerve coming here, brat. You're going to pay for your actions against us in Konoha, stated Tsunade with Shao Kahn smirking. It's funny you would speak of this village as if it were the one being betrayed. There are those that would say differently, remarked Shao Kahn before sensing a Junin coming at him from the right before he knocked the foolish man violently away with ease. You betray the will of fire. For that reason alone you will die, added Hiruzen with Shao Kahn letting out a chuckle before it became full-blown laughter. Is that so? Again, it's funny you would mention your precious will of fire like this. There are those that would say you betrayed it just like you betrayed the true Konoha, replied Shao Kahn before snapping his fingers, and 3 shinobi from the past met the now shocked 3 shinobi of the present. Hello, Hiruzen. Your appearance may have changed, but your eyes show you are as decrepit as ever, replied Hashirama with a scowl on his face, with Hiruzen looking shocked at seeing his sensei here. Hello, Danzo. Still the greedy fool I saw all those years ago. Had I known what you would do and become, I would have thrown you, and Hiruzen against the enemy instead of myself. But knowing your fear of death, I doubt you would have stayed to fight them. If anything, you would have joined the enemy in exchange for being spared, remarked to Barama while Danzo scowled at the insult. Hello, Tsunade. To think someone of my bloodline within the Uzumaki clan outside of Kushina would betray us like you have. Such a disgrace to the Senju and Uzumaki clans you've become, Tsunade, remarked Mito with Tsunade, looking furious with tears now starting to form around her eyes. How dare you bring them back from the dead, you defiler of life, exclaimed Tsunade angrily with Shao Kahn smirking. As if you're one to talk, Tsunade, or any of those beside you. If anyone is to blame, you should blame Arakamaru for studying the Edo Tensei with such interest. When I took his soul, I gained all his knowledge from it and acted accordingly. Besides, my bringing them back is different from when he did it during the staged invasion created by the old monkey, replied Shao Kahn before explaining how he got those 3 back, and the look of shock mixed with horror appeared on their faces. You killed my 2 students and gave their souls to the Shinigami. You had no right, declared Hiruzen, before he took a step back when Hashirama took a step forward. Just as you had no right to betray what I taught you, Hiruzen. You had no right to betray my teachings or the Uzumaki clan, my wife's clan, exclaimed Hashirama angrily. Sensei, I act, exclaimed Hiruzen before he was hit with blinding speed of a palm thrust by the former Shadame Hawkage to his stomach. You are no longer my student. The boy I trained years ago and taught the will of fire to is dead. You are not him. You are a perverse abomination, declared Hashirama before he went after the stunned Hiruzen, who was being pushed back the former Hokage. I know one should not enjoy fighting and killing others. But in your own particular case, Shimura Danzo, I will gladly make an exception regarding your end, said Tobarama before he rushed to attack Danzo, who quickly revealed his Sharingan eye behind his bandages, and special arm with Hashirama's cells mixed with the grafted Sharingan eyes in them. You are no longer my sensei. Hiruzen and Tsunade may be hesitant to strike those close to them, but I am not so weak as to hesitate when the time is right. You should have just declared me Hokage all those years ago, said Danzo before the two engaged each other in battle. I know of your actions, Danzo. Of your methods in creating root and removing emotions from people. Tell me, had you died, how did you expect your mindless and emotionless drones to function? Or had you designed it so Konoha would not function without you being its leader? That the village would die with you? Asked Tobirama before shooting compressed balls of water at Danzo, with one putting a hole in his chest before facing out and reforming again. With one of the Sharingan in his arms closing. I am Konoha. I am the will of fire, declared Danzo with a hint of arrogance in his voice. Fire is passion. Fire is emotion given form. How can you claim to be the will of fire if you have no emotions in your heart or behind your actions? You are poison, Danzo. That is what you are, declared Tobirama, as he noted what his attack should have done, and what Danzo did before noticing the man had one less grafted Sharingan eye open on the arm. I don't have to explain myself to you, Sensei. You are a relic, out of date. The world has changed, and so have I from the weak, frail human you knew, said Danzo before he was hit again by another blast of water, and facing out again before coming back unharmed. You're right. You have changed. You're no longer a human being. You're like Hiruzen, an abomination, something unnatural. You have become something that has no purpose in this world, other than taking what does not belong to you. The only fitting thing left to do is end your life, declared Tobirama before moving in for close combat. She's all yours, Mito. Perhaps Tsunade will finally be humbled before dying by your very hands, remarked Shao Kahn while Tsunade looked ready to shoot fire from her eyes. Fight him, grandmother. You are an Uzumaki. Fight his control, exclaimed Tsunade before Mito's face became stone-faced with a look of fury on it. Did you forget already, my so-called granddaughter? I am in complete control of my body. I may have to take certain orders from Shao Kahn-sama, but nothing I don't agree with. Namely, ending your life, said Mito before rushing forward and punched Tsunade right in the face with the force behind it, sending the blonde woman flying. It was clear where Tsunade learned her super strength move from. Now to face the dumb woman who decided having a son was more of a burden than a blessing, remarked Shao Kahn before he began fighting his way to the one place where he knew his so-called mother. The Hokage Monument. Elsewhere at the moment. Where are you going, Uchiha? Asked Naruto with Sasuke looking at the fighting and turned to walk away from it. Away. This village is going to fall. Why should I stay and defend this weak place? Answered Sasuke like he didn't owe Konoha a damn thing. Considering all they've given you, all they've taught you, all your jutsus handed to you, all your skills. You won't defend the place that taught you all of that? Asked Naruto with Sasuke frowning further. Everything they taught me was owed to me. I lost my clan. It's only fair they give me whatever I want in return. Now that they have nothing left to offer, I have no reason to stay and support them, answered Sasuke before he continued walking away. Typical Uchiha, running away like a coward. Your brother should have killed you when he had the chance, remarked the monotone voice of Sabaku. No Gaara hovering over the two on a cloud of sand, which made Sasuke freeze in place at the mention of his brother. You know nothing, freak, spat Sasuke with Gaara allowing himself a smirk. I know your brother died at the hands of Shao Kahn. Doesn't that bother you? That your purpose in avenging your clan was taken away from you? Asked Gaara with Sasuke's eyes narrowing. What did you just say? Demanded Sasuke with Gaara's smirk increased, knowing he hit a sore spot with the Uchiha. You heard me, Sasuke. Your brother is dead, killed by Shao Kahn, or as you once knew him as, Uzumaki Naruto, replied Gaara with Sasuke's eyes now being filled with fury. Perhaps I should go kill him now. Unless you are going to stop me, challenged Sasuke with Gaara shook his head. I highly doubt you can kill him, Sasuke. If you could have killed him, you would have done it already. Konoha would have let you do it, remarked Gaara with Sasuke looking him right in the eyes. Konoha doesn't know anything. And neither do you, said Sasuke before leaving to face his enemy responsible for his brother's death. And what about you? What will you do? Asked Gaara with Naruto looking at him with an unreadable expression before she left in a swirl of leaves. With Hinata and Neji. Hinata watched her cousin with cold eyes as he was panting, his clothing torn, covered in blood, his blood to be exact, and looked ready to fall over. It had brought about a sense of déjà vu of a time when they stood like this. The situation reversed, and Hinata was the one badly injured from their fight in the Chunin exam preliminaries. How does it feel, Neji? How does it feel to be the one being dominated by blood and the feeling of inferiority? That was what you thought I was back then during the Chunin exams, a weak, inferior being? It's amazing what hard work and determination can do for someone like me. Where is your fire, your passion? Did you ever have it? Or did you just surrender it to fate for strength that is only skin deep? Asked Hinata before seeing Neji get angry and move to strike, despite it being sluggish and readable. Shut up! You know nothing. Even after all this time, you know nothing of pain, and of the loss I suffered at the hands of the main family. At the hands of Hayashi-sama. At your own with your inability to fight when it mattered most. Exclaimed Neji in rage, while trying to hit Hinata, but his arms were blocked from hitting her, and the woman quickly retaliated by striking the points around his shoulders before the limbs exploded violently. I know more than you could ever imagine. I lost my mother because she didn't want to raise her daughters in a house filled with arrogance. She didn't want to raise us in a loveless clan. Did you know she had no choice in marrying my so-called father? That the only thing she could control, or at least try to have control over, was how I, and later Hanabi, would be raised. No, you didn't. It never occurred to you that I might be a victim just as much as you. I suffered in living without a mother. A woman who loved me, and was instead raised by a clan who hated me simply because I didn't agree with all of their archaic and barbaric policies regarding the clan. You, on the other hand, were loved by the clan, regardless of being a branch member. You followed policy. You got stronger from it, and as such you were loved and supported by those in the clan. They used your father's death to push you into being this monster that stands before me. My only regret is I was unable to help you see the light again. But considering how blind you are thanks to our clan's machinations, even I cannot work such miracles. Goodbye, Neji, said Hinata, as she arched her hand back and struck Neji in the face with chakra coursing through her fingertips. Hinata-sama, forgive. Mime, whispered Neji before falling over dead. You had your chance at forgiveness, Neji. I'm through giving you any more, remarked Hinata before heading out to fight more shinobi.